The night they cast her out, she didn't fight. She stood barefoot on the frostbitten earth, blood dripping from a wound she didn't earn, staring at the pack that had once called her kin. Her alpha spoke the words without hesitation. Naira of Shadowfell, you are stripped of all rank. You are wolfless, packless, and unwelcome in these lands. The mark burned off her skin. The pack turned their backs. The gates slammed shut behind her. But the moon did not turn away. As Naira stumbled into the snow-choked forest, a howl split the sky, so powerful it rattled the mountains. Not from Shadowfell, from the kingdom beyond. A storm of black fur, gold eyes, and crushing aura burst from the tree line. The wolf circled her once, massive, dangerous, assessing, before shifting into a man built of shadows and moonlight, King Arik of the Nightbane Dominion. The most feared alpha in the north. He looked at Naira, broken, exiled, trembling, and instead of pity, he bowed his head. Your pack cast out a queen, he said softly. If they don't want you, he extended his hand. I'll take you as my throne-bound equal. Naira's breath shattered. He wasn't offering a home. He was offering a kingdom. Before we go further, drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe so you never miss the next chapter of this world. Naira remembered the day Shadowfell Pack first called her gifted. She was 8 years old when her wolf first stirred. Not fully, not visibly, but with a spark of something ancient. An elder examined her and whispered one word that changed her life. Moon touch. Blessed, rare, feared. From that moment on, she was trained as a future strategist, a future healer, a future Luna to be. The Alpha's sons circled her like predators waiting for a rightful claim, but her only friend was Kael, the youngest son, gentle, quiet, kind. He promised her protection. He promised they would rise together. He promised she would never walk alone. Promises break. The first sign came when her wolf failed to surface during her coming-of-age ceremony. A hush fell over the pack. Elders murmured. Warriors exchanged glances. Her father was dragged away the next morning, accused of treason he didn't commit. Her mother died shielding her from the fallout. And suddenly, Naira, the girl once meant to become Luna, was branded a curse. By 21, she was weaker than every wolf in Shadowfell. Her wolf locked, her name tarnished, her bloodline erased. And Kael, the boy who swore to protect her? He stood silent as she burned under the torchlight of her trial. He looked away as they tore her mark from her skin, and he let the council speak the words that severed her fate. Naira is no wolf of ours. Her exile was swift, brutal, final. But destiny, the moon, the old magic, the path of wolves, does not end at a pack's border. It veers, it twists, it rewrites. The moment she fell into the snow outside Shadowfell, bleeding and alone, the air shifted. A presence descended. Not enemy, not friend, a king. Nightbane King Arik, whose reputation was built on war, on power, on a wolf so fearsome, even elders whispered his name like a curse. He was hunting a threat that night. Instead, he found her. And when his gaze swept over the ruined mark on her shoulder, the broken strength in her posture, the stubborn fire still burning in her eyes, he didn't see an exile. He saw a queen ripped from her throne. Stand, he said softly, extending his cloak around her trembling form. I am not here to hurt you. I am here because the moon led me to you. Naira tried to speak, but her voice cracked. Why? His golden eyes burned like twin suns. Because your story doesn't end here. Shadowfell might have stripped you of a pack. He brushed a strand of frozen hair from her cheek. But I will give you a kingdom, if you dare rise again. Naira felt something inside her flicker. Hope, rage, destiny, all tangled into one. She didn't know yet that his offer came with danger. With magic older than her exile, with enemies beyond the forest, with a mate bond neither of them expected. She didn't know yet that her wolf wasn't gone. She was hiding, waiting, growing strong enough to return when Naira needed her most. And she didn't know yet that the Alpha King beside her had been dreaming of her long before he found her in the snow. Naira tried to stand, but her knees buckled again, the snow swallowing her weight. Cold bit into her palms. She tasted blood. The world spun in dull grey circles. Arik caught her before she collapsed fully. His hands were warm, too warm for the winter storm around them. His cloak wrapped around her shoulders like a shield forged from darkness and fur. Naira flinched. Don't touch me. I'm not safe, Arik finished softly. No, not here. Not alone. He lifted her easily, as if she weighed nothing. Her breath stuttered. Put me down, she whispered, humiliated. I can walk. You tried, he said. Now let me carry you. Naira clenched her jaw, heat burning behind her eyes. She didn't want kindness, not after Shadowfell had weaponized it, dangled it, then ripped it away. But Arik wasn't offering kindness. He was offering protection. There was a difference. His wolf aura surrounded her, like a wall, massive, ancient, steady, guiding her through the storm toward a clearing where dark, armored warriors stood waiting. The Nightbane Guard immediately dropped to their knees. My king. Arik didn't lower Naira to the ground. He held her as he gave orders. Open the path. We return to Blackstone Fortress. One guard hesitated, eyes flicking to Naira's bruised face. My king, is she under my protection? Arik said sharply. From this moment forward. The guards bowed deeper. Naira's breath caught. Protection. From a king. Shadowfell had cast her out like trash. But here, wolves bowed. The contrast sliced through her chest. As they rode toward the fortress on Arik's massive blackened wolf steed, Naira kept her gaze fixed on the snow, trying to steady her breathing. You don't have to fear me, Arik murmured. She stiffened. I don't fear you. You fear everything right now, he said gently. And you should. Exile wounds the soul more than the body. Naira looked away. The wind stung her eyes. After an hour of silence, Arik spoke again, soft, low. Tell me what they did to you. Her throat tightened. Nothing. Naira. His voice dropped, deeper. I smelled the scorch on your shoulder. They burned your pack mark. She jerked back as if slapped. Her voice cracked. Don't talk about it. Arik studied her carefully. Did they accuse you of something? I said I don't want to talk about it. He didn't push. He simply nodded once, as if absorbing her answer, and accepting it for now. But his jaw clenched with quiet fury. Shadowfell was always corrupt, he murmured. I should have intervened years ago. Why would you? Naira asked bitterly. I'm nothing to you. Arik's gaze flicked to her, the look sharp enough to cut stone. You don't decide what you are to me. Her breath hitched. Before she could answer, the forest broke open to reveal something vast and breathtaking. Blackstone Fortress. a citadel carved into the mountainside, lit by silver torches and moon sigils that pulsed like living runes. Wolves patrolled the ramparts, their eyes glowing in the dark. The structure rose tall and fierce, a testament to centuries of power. Naira stared in awe. "This is your home?" she whispered. Arik nodded. "And until the moon writes otherwise, yours, too." The words curled around her heart. Inside the fortress gates, healers rushed forward. Arik set Naira gently on her feet, though his hand remained hovering near her back, ready to catch her if she wavered. One healer gasped softly. "Her aura is fractured," another murmured. "She bears old magic." Naira blinked. "What does that mean?" Arik answered instead. "It means Shadowfell didn't just exile a wolf. They exiled a line of magic they feared." Naira stared at him. "You think I have magic? My wolf won't even come out." Arik stepped close, too close. The warmth of his presence seeped into her frozen bones. "Your wolf isn't gone," he whispered. "She's locked away, hiding, caged by someone's hand or someone's curse." Naira's pulse thundered. "How do you know?" His golden eyes softened. "Because I've seen wolves like you, power like yours. Quiet, suppressed, waiting for the right moment to strike." She swallowed hard. "And when is that moment supposed to be?" Arik lifted his hand and brushed her cheek, as though afraid she might break. "When you allow someone to stand with you," he said quietly. Her stomach twisted. No one had ever stood with her. Not really. Not since Kael turned away, choosing silence over loyalty. Nira stepped back. "I can't trust anyone." "I'm not asking you to," Arik said. "I'm asking you to let me help you survive your own destiny." Before she could respond, a shriek echoed from her chest, sharp, wolf-like, pained. Naira staggered. A sudden heat flared under her ribs. Hot, wild, violent. Arik grabbed her as she clutched her chest. "What is it?" he demanded. Naira gasped. "My wolf, she's trying to—" A glowing mark flickered beneath her skin, right where her pack mark used to be. Arik's eyes widened. "That's not just awakening. That's a broken bond flaring back to life," Nira choked out. "But I have no mate." Arik shook his head. "Your mate mark was removed, not erased." Her wolf screamed again. A curl of moonlit aura burst from Naira's back, flaring like wings. Healers recoiled in awe. Arik stepped closer, voice calm despite the magic ripping through the room. "Nira, listen to me. This is a sign. Whatever they took from you, your wolf is trying to reclaim." Her voice cracked. "What if she can't?" Arik cupped her jaw gently. "Then let me help her." Nira's knees buckled. Arik caught her before she fell, lifting her effortlessly. Her vision blurred. Her wolf whispered her first words in years. "Finally, he found us." Naira gasped. Arik froze. Their eyes met. The air stilled. But before either could speak, a horn blared from the ramparts. A guard sprinted inside. "My king, Shadowfell forces approach. They crossed the border. You were right. They're here to reclaim the exile." Naira's blood turned to ice. Arik didn't hesitate. He lowered her gently, but his dominance rose like a winter storm. "They will not take her," he snarled. "Not while I draw breath." Naira's wolf purred. For the first time in years, she did not feel alone. The Nightbane fortress had been carved for war. Massive iron gates, triple stone walls, guard towers crowned with silver lanterns that burned with moonlight rather than fire. But tonight, it looked less like a fortress, and more like a storm waiting to break. Arik's command spread through the citadel like wildfire. Shadowfell crosses our borders. Warriors leapt into formations. Scouts raced to the ramparts. Metal rang against metal as weapons were drawn from enchanted racks. Yet all Naira could focus on was the raw ache in her chest, the place where her packmark had once lived. It throbbed with unfamiliar heat, a rising pulse that felt like a half-forgotten memory. A voice, a howl, a claim broken but not dead. Arik noticed her trembling. Of course he did. He stepped close enough for his aura to brush hers. Warm, steady, grounding. Nearer, he murmured. Your wolf is responding to a threat. She swallowed hard. Shadowfell isn't a threat. They're family. You owe them nothing. They raised me. He met her gaze. They abandoned you. Neera looked away. You don't understand. Something dark flickered behind Arik's eyes. I do. She froze. But before she could ask what he meant, Corvin rushed into the war room. Alpha Shadowfell isn't simply approaching. They brought 50 warriors, and their alpha, Neera's breath caught. Kyle, her once friend, her almost mate, the boy who promised to stand beside her, and then stood silent at her exile. Arik's jaw tightened. Has he demanded entry? Corvin nodded. He claims Neera belongs to Shadowfell by ancestral right. Arik let out a slow, dangerous breath. His wolf flickered behind his eyes, gold blazing against black. Prepare the courtyard, he said coldly. We meet them outside the walls. Corvin bowed and sprinted away. Naira forced herself to step forward. Arik, please, don't start a war for me. He turned to her, voice low. I'm not starting a war. His hands curled into fists. I'm finishing their cruelty. Naira shook her head. They'll never surrender if you face them with weapons. Arik's aura flared. I don't intend to negotiate. Naira grabbed his wrist before she could stop herself. He froze at her touch, completely. Let me speak to them first, she said quietly. I know Shadowfell. I can make them stand down. His gaze dropped to her hand, still on his wrist. Something in his expression softened. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You still believe they'll protect you? No, she whispered. But I believe I don't want blood spilled because of me. Arik exhaled slowly. Neera, diplomacy is not why they're here. She frowned. Then why? He lifted her chin gently, forcing her eyes up to meet his. Your wolf is waking, he said. Your aura is shifting. You carry old blood, old magic. They see power in you they didn't see before. Naira's stomach twisted. You're saying they want to control you, Arik finished, or destroy you before you rise. Her knees weakened, but Arik caught her, again, hands steady on her elbows. Neera, he said softly. Shadowfell didn't come to reclaim a daughter. His eyes darkened. They came to eliminate a threat. Her breath shattered. But before she could speak, a horn echoed from the highest tower, deep, resonant, the signal that enemies reached the gate. Arik stepped back, dominance rolling off him like a tide. He extended his hand. Come with me. Naira hesitated, not out of fear, but because something in her chest pulsed harder at that command. Her wolf whispered, He is not claiming you. He is choosing you. There is a difference. She took his hand. Arik didn't smile, but something fierce flickered across his expression, as if the moon had just given him a gift he never expected. Snow whipped across the stone as Nightbane warriors lined the walls. Torches flickered in the wind. Magic runes glowed under their boots. Shadowfell wolves waited at the open gates. weapons drawn, eyes blazing, ready to take her back by force. At their front stood Kael. He looked older than she remembered, harder, more alpha-like. But his eyes, those were the same tired storm blue, the same hesitation lurking behind fury. Neera's chest tightened, not with longing, but with memory. Kael stepped forward. "Nyra," he called, "come home. You were exiled in error. The council overstepped. I'm here to correct it." Nyra's skin crawled. Correct it? As if her suffering were a clerical mistake? "No," she said quietly. "I'm not returning." Kael's jaw clenched. "Shadowfell is your pack." "Shadowfell is my past." Arik stepped beside her, radiating lethal calm. "She said no," he murmured. "A concept you should learn to respect." Kael glared at him. "We don't answer to kings." "You do tonight," Arik growled. Shadowfell warriors lifted their weapons. Nightbane lifted theirs in response. Magic hummed through the air, a breath away from violence. Neera stepped forward, placing herself between two armies. Kael's voice cracked. "Nyra, don't do this. You belong with us." "No," she whispered. Her hand rose to her chest, to the place where her pack mark had been burned away. "I belonged with you, once, before you let them tear the wolf out of me." Kael flinched. Arik's aura wrapped around her like armor. Neera continued, voice shaking but strong. "You exiled me, Kael. You let them destroy my family. You watched them break me. And now that I might finally be something more," her wolf pulsed, light flickering under her skin. "You want to claim me again?" Kael looked at her as if she'd stabbed him. "It was to protect you." "It was to protect your position," Arik said coldly. "Do not lie to her," Kael snapped. "Stay out of this." Arik stepped forward, towering, deadly, kingly. "She is under my protection." "Protection?" Kael spat. "She'll die in your kingdom. She's too weak, too fractured." Arik's voice became ice. "Then watch her rise." Neera's wolf surged. Heat, light, magic flashing, like a heartbeat reborn. Gasps echoed through both packs. Her eyes glowed for the first time, silver shot with violet. Her wolf whispered, "He is wrong. You were never weak. You were waiting." Neera straightened, aura burning through the courtyard, and for the first time, Shadowfell stepped back, Nightbane stepped forward, and Kael finally saw what he had cast aside. Kael stared at Nyra as though seeing a ghost, or worse, as though seeing the future he was never meant to have. Her aura shimmered like frostfire, silver violet threads weaving around her body, pulsing in rhythm with a wolf that was no longer silent. Nightbane wolves shifted uneasily. Shadowfell wolves backed away. The air itself bowed to the awakening happening before them. Kael's voice broke. "Neera, how is this possible?" She didn't answer him, because she didn't owe him answers. Arik stepped beside her, not in front of her, matching her stance, mirroring her posture, letting the world see a king who did not overshadow her rise, but stood with it. His voice was low, lethal. "You wanted to know whether she needed protection." He gestured toward Nyra, the glow under her skin, the crackling magic in the air. The girl who once trembled under Shadowfell's cruelty, now standing like a queen carved from moonlight. "Look at her," Kael's throat bobbed. "This isn't her," he whispered. Nyra met his gaze. "No," she said. "This is who I always was. You were simply too blind, or too cowardly, to see it." A ripple of shock moved through both packs. Kael flinched, as if struck. Nira, I cared for you. Then why did you stay silent while they destroyed everything I loved? Kael's expression twisted. I was trying to survive. And I was trying to live, Nira whispered. But you let them bury me alive. Arik's aura surged just enough to steady her. Not to control, but to anchor. Kael took one step toward her. Arik took one step forward as well, expression flattening. Kael froze. For a moment, the courtyard went silent. Then a Shadowfell warrior shouted, Enough! She's a danger! Look at her! She's carrying cursed magic! Nira's aura faltered for a second, fear trying to curl back in. Arik's hand brushed hers. Barely, softly. The fear vanished. His voice thundered across the courtyard. She carries moon-given magic, old blood, sacred blood, power that predates every pack on this mountain. Shadowfell wolves stiffened. Even Kael looked shaken. Old blood? Arik nodded. The bloodline of moon seers, lunar shield bearers, queens whose wolves could alter the tide of battle with a single howl. Nira's pulse stuttered. That can't be me. Arik turned to her, eyes blazing. It is you. Your wolf is waking because she no longer fears the world that tried to break you. Nira trembled. Not in weakness, but in recognition. Her wolf whispered, We are done hiding. Arik lifted her hand, not to claim, but to show the world who stood beside him. You exiled a queen, he said to Shadowfell, and you came to reclaim what you believe is still yours. Kael clenched his jaw. She is ours. She was born to us. No, Arik growled. She was merely born among you. Her destiny does not lie in the ruins of your pack. Kael stepped forward, voice cracking. I came to bring her home. Nira's expression hardened. Shadowfell stopped being my home the moment you let them burn my mark. The courtyard stilled. Kael swallowed. Nira, I'm asking for forgiveness. Her breath hitched. Only a fraction, because a sliver of the girl she once was still remembered the boy who once held her hand by the riverbank. But that boy was not the man in front of her now. Nira lifted her chin. I do forgive you, she whispered. Kael's eyes widened with hope. Brief, bright, foolish. But forgiveness, Nira continued, is not an invitation. The hope shattered. Kael's voice trembled. Nira, please. No, she said. Not for me. Not anymore. Her wolf surged, silver light spilling across the snow like a shimmering tide. Shadowfell warriors stumbled back. Kael stared at her glow, awe dawning behind the pain. What is happening to you? Nira closed her eyes. For years she had begged her wolf to speak, to answer, to shift, to save her. Now her wolf answered, with a voice older than memory. We rise. Her aura burst outward, a shockwave of moonlight that rippled across the courtyard. Snow lifted from the ground, torches flared, magic hummed like a heartbeat of the land itself. Both packs gasped. Nira opened her eyes, and they glowed wholly silver, no violet left, pure lunar power. The aura wrapped around Arik but did not harm him. Instead, it fused with his, a blend of silver and gold, moon and sun, queen and king. Kael staggered back, breath stolen. You're bonded? Arik's voice was soft but unyielding. No, not bonded. He looked at Nira. She looked at him. Their wolves recognized one another, one in sovereignty, one in rebirth. Arik said, We are aligned. Nira added, And that is more powerful than any forced bond. Kael whispered. Nira, don't choose this. Her answer was simple. I'm choosing myself. The last word struck harder than any blade. Shadowfell's warriors lowered their weapons, not out of defeat, but out of recognition. Because they saw what Naira had become, not weak, not wolfless, not broken, but a queen forged by exile and risen by fate. Arik stepped beside her and spoke to Shadowfell. "Leave now, or face my kingdom's teeth." Kael hesitated, then bowed his head. Not to Arik, to Nira. Then he turned away. Shadowfell followed, retreating into the forest. Nightbane erupted in howls. A call of victory, not for war, but for the rise of the one standing in their courtyard. Nira, trembling, looked up at Arik. "I didn't mean for any of this." He smiled, small, soft, breathtaking. "You didn't cause this war, Naira. You ended it." Her wolf purred, pressing warmth into her bones. Arik extended his hand, not demanding, not assuming, offering. "Come," he said quietly. "There is something I want to show you." Naira took his hand, and destiny shifted. Arik led her through the palace's inner corridor. Past towering stone pillars, past ancient carvings of kings and wolves, past flames that bowed inward as she walked by, as though the fire itself recognized her rising power. Nira kept glancing at him, throat tight. "You're being strange," she murmured. Arik huffed a soft laugh. "Strange how?" "You're quieter than usual." "That's because," he said, pushing open a set of obsidian doors. "I wanted you to see this before anything else happened." The room beyond was enormous. A circular chamber, open to the night sky, moonlight pouring through an unseen dome. Casting silver light over a raised stone platform, at its center stood a throne, not one, two. One carved of black stone crowned with golden runes, the king's seat, and beside it, just as grand, just as intimidating, a throne carved of pale moonstone, etched with flowing silver. Naira froze. "Arik, what is this?" He walked forward, his aura flickering with something raw and unguarded. "The throne I built for the woman who would stand with me," he said softly. Her pulse stuttered. "You built this before you even met me?" "No." Arik turned to her fully. "I built it when I realized fate had placed a queen in my path." Her breath hitched. He stepped closer. "Naira, when I found you half frozen in the snow, you were trembling, terrified, and carrying a grief that no wolf should face alone." He swallowed. "But even then, your eyes held something unbroken." Her throat tightened painfully. "I didn't know anything about you," he continued. "Not your lineage, not your magic, not your exile, but I knew, instinctively, that you were meant to stand beside a throne, not beneath one." Her wolf pressed against her ribs, whispering, "He sees us." Naira shook her head, slowly. "I don't deserve this." Arik stepped closer, voice dropping to a whisper that melted against her skin. "You deserve more." She opened her mouth, but the ground shuddered beneath them. A crack of distant thunder boomed across the mountains. Naira stiffened. "What was that?" Arik inhaled sharply, not in fear but in recognition. "That," he murmured, "is your wolf." Naira blinked. "My wolf? But I didn't shift." "You didn't," he said. "But she did." And then a sound tore through the night sky, echoing through stone and bone alike. A howl, long, low, ancient. The howl of a reborn queen. The moonstone throne lit up, runes igniting, like silver fire, casting light over Naira's trembling form. Arik stepped back, eyes blazing. "She's choosing," he whispered. "She's awakening." Naira clutched her chest as the aura surged again. Not painful, but overwhelming. I can't. Arik reached her in 2 strides, gripping her shoulders. Naira, listen to me. His voice was steady, grounding, an anchor in a storm. You are not becoming something new. You are remembering what you were born to be. She gasped as her wolf pushed outward, a flash of silver energy crackling across her skin. I don't know if I can control it. You don't need to control it, Arik said. Let it breathe. Her wolf roared inside her. We rise now. Naira exhaled, and the aura exploded. Light flooded the chamber. Moonfire swirled around her like a storm. Snow lifted from the ground, suspended in glowing arcs. Wind carved spirals through the air, responding to her heartbeat. Arik shielded his eyes but didn't retreat. He watched, mesmerized, as Naira stood in the center of a lunar tempest. An exile no more, a queen awakening her birthright. Her feet touched the ground with new weight, her gaze lifted, glowing silver. Arik bowed his head, not in submission, but in reverence. Nira, he whispered, you were never meant to kneel. She stepped forward, voice steady, echoing with her wolf's strength. And I will never kneel again. Arik lifted his chin, meeting her gaze. Then rule beside me. Nira's breath caught. I'm not ready. Neither am I, he said softly. But fate rarely waits for readiness. He reached for her hand. This time, she didn't hesitate. Their fingers intertwined, and their auras merged, silver and gold, weaving like twin flames. The thrones behind them ignited with light. Outside the chamber, wolves howled. Nightbane wolves first, then wolves from distant mountains, as though the moon carried news across every ridge. A queen has risen. Naira stepped toward the moonlit throne. Her wolf whispered, "This is ours." She turned to Arik. "Then I accept," she whispered. "If destiny wants me to rule, I will rule beside the one who gave me a place to stand." Arik exhaled, as though the entire kingdom had lifted from his shoulders. "You have no idea what this means." "I think," Nira murmured, "I'm beginning to understand." Wolves across the palace bowed. The moon bowed. Even the air bowed. To the queen who was once exiled, and now stood at the right hand of a king. Under a sky carved with moonlight, the exile took her throne. No longer broken, no longer forgotten, but reborn as the queen destiny had hidden inside her all along.